I met Drew Youngedyke, an avid fly fisherman, at the Michigan Outdoor Writers Conference this spring, and he invited me out to his fish camp to learn more about fly fishing for northern pike.
A lot of the flies I use for pike are just like downsized a musky fly. I'll just kind of tie that, but I'll tie it smaller. A couple size smaller hook, like more of like a 6-inch fly rather than like a 8 to 9-inch fly.
Drew's fish camp is a quaint Finnish-style lakeside cabin in Youngedyke County.
This place is really special to our family. My great-grandpa was an iron miner in Ironwood, and he bought this place as he was nearing retirement. The hard work that he put into being an iron miner and what that took, I look at it as that's what allows us to enjoy it now. I bring my son here who's 5. You know, that would have been his great-great-grandpa. So because his great-great-grandpa, worked in the iron mines, he gets to come here and fish and relax in the summer. So we're pretty lucky to have that. It's styled after the traditional Finnish cottage. It's got a sauna, it's got a husikka, a 2-holer for those of you who don't know what that means.
Even though Drew is not a Yooper, his family roots are here.
I came up here every summer growing up, and it's the most home place that I can go back to from being a kid. I love the UP. I've been trying to convince my wife to move up here for at least a dozen years. It's not gonna happen, but I'm not gonna stop trying.
And this place is where Drew learned his love for fishing.
When I'd come here in the summers, my great uncles would take me a little bit, but I really started fishing at all, trolling for pike with my grandpa. He had a boat. I was poor, broke, and in college, and I couldn't afford a boat. So to fish on my own, I figured I could afford a cheap pair of waders and a starter fly rod. So I started fly fishing for trout then, and I did that for a long time, not very well. And I was at a Michigan Outdoor Writers Conference, and a friend of mine named John Cleveland told me about fly fishing for pike. And when he told me that, suddenly the world made sense. I could fly fish for pike. We have this place here, and really since then I haven't missed a year of coming back here. I get up here a few times a year. It's kind of nice for fly fishing because it's a fairly shallow lake, so there's not much that I can't reach with a fly. There we go. But I typically find them off these points and in these little kind of mini coves. It's not like when you're in a trout stream and you're reading where the seam is or where the hole might be. It's open water, so you don't necessarily know where they'll be. I don't use sonar or anything like that, so it's blind casting, so it's just a lot of persistence and fan casting, making sure that you figure 8 at the end in case there's a pike following your fly that you can't see. It's a lot like fly fishing for muskie, which is a little bit more popular, but I like to tell people that if you had a muskie that was a little bit smaller, prettier, and liked to eat flies more, then you just have a pike. So, well, and just like if you're reeling in a daredevil, you're not just gonna do like a straight retrieve. You're gonna give it a little action, a little motion, a little start-stop, and you do the same with a fly. So you kind of vary your retrieve speed, you vary your cadence. So you might do like strip, pause, fast, long, slow. Because pike will at different times be keyed in on different motions, and just like you would with a lure, you do the same thing with a fly. And of course you can't cast it at nearly as far as you can a lure. So you kind of self-impose that limitation. So it's a lot of casting, a lot of work. You get a good workout, especially if you're paddling a canoe. And as you saw out there, sometimes you're paddling with one arm and trying to figure 8 with the other. But it's fun. It's an active thing to do outdoors, and there's a lot of worthwhile active things to do outdoors, and this is what I like to do.
The beauty of this lake and cabin and its wildlife inspired Drew to tie his own flies.
And one of the things that I love about it, though, it's not just the fish in the lake, but when we're sitting here, we can wake up to the loons on the lake, the loons calling. The eagles will fly up here. Even back in the 80s when you didn't see eagles many other places, you could see them here. And a lot of the flies that you'd buy for pike would have lead eyes. And I wanted to make sure that I could tie with non-lead, and that every fly that I used was non-lead. It's to make sure if I lose them in the lake, I'm not gonna accidentally poison a loon or an eagle. This one is probably my favorite. This is called a Buford, classic red and white for pike, just like a daredevil lure. But that big bucktail head pushes a lot of water, makes a lot of commotion, and makes the tail kind of wiggle back and forth. So as you strip it through the water, it will kind of come, and then when you stop, it'll turn. This is a deer hair popper, but with a rabbit strip tail. So that'll make a lot of commotion sitting on the top of the water, and I kind of use colors to give the general impression, hopefully, of maybe a bluegill. But this one worked out well today. This is called a river pig, and it uses non-toxic dumbbell eyes to give it weight, and really just mimics a perch. It rides hook up.
Thanks, Drew, for sharing your story and your little slice of paradise here in the UP. And I'm glad we were able to get that one fish on camera.
This is a classic. Not even you should have been here yesterday, you should have been here this morning.